Today, Jean Sheridan, your Sage Intacct consultant, will be the presenter. Jean has over 30 years experience in accounting and ERP. Prior to ArcSys and RKL, Jean worked at Arthur Andersen and Disney. So without delay, let's get started, Jean.
Okay, thank you, Danica. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the year-end planning for Sage Intacct. Happy New Year, or soon to be Happy New Year. So we're just going to go through the process of year-end. Okay, sorry about that. Here's going to be the agenda of what we're going to cover today. Things that, first off, I'm starting with something really nice, things you don't even have to do anymore. You don't have to worry about because you have a cloud-based solution. We'll go through year-end preparation, fiscal year-end close process, create fiscal year reporting periods, and a brief section on 1089 prep and processing, and then, of course, Q&A. So what I really think is a big bonus is this slide is things you don't have to do anymore because you're using Sage Intacct. You no longer, if you recall, if anybody's come off of other products, I used to work in the AppPack world, Sage 300, 100, and to do a year-end, you basically had to do a major data backup, figure out where to store that data backup, figure out your disaster recovery plan, purging history, and then when you purge history, you lose detailed transactions. You no longer have to worry about that. You no longer have to install those pesky service updates or patches for year-end reporting or like 1099s. And you no longer have to do that official roll forward of retained earnings. You no longer have to call up your Intacct or your AppPack consultant and say, "Can you do this for me?" So a lot of benefits with Sage with the Intacct solution. The year-end prep, very straightforward. This is something that you probably do on a regular basis, a monthly or quarterly basis. Basically, you close your subledgers. You want to make sure you close your subledgers, AP, AR, PO, and you want to do this. You're probably on a pretty routine way of doing it, monthly or quarterly already. So basically, you close as you go. You want to just make sure that you close your subledger, and how you do that is you go into your module, accounts payable, subledger, close, and if you look over here, you can actually close it by entity. Or if you leave it open, you're closing, and if you're doing this at the top level, if you're a multi-entity shared environment and you're doing it at the top level, then you can have the option to close it by entity, or you leave it open and you close it for all your entities. And then you choose what month or what year or you want to close. And like I said, you want to be doing this on a normal routine process, either monthly or quarterly, so that when you get to the year end, it's not a major hurdle. Year-end prep, again, Reconcile, and you're probably doing this as you go to monthly and quarterly. So you want to make sure that you reconcile your subledger to your control account on your general ledger. Some key things is, and I'm just using the vendor agent report, but this could be an AR agent report. Key things with it is how you want to run the report. You want to run it as of a GL posting date. So, and you want to use selected date. So you want to just make sure you choose selected date, and the report date is your closing date. Things to look for if there's any issues with your reconciliation. Look for any manual journal entries that are going through your control account. Check your cutoff date, and if you can't figure it out, feel free to call us at RKL for additional assistance. We'll be happy to help you. So then, once your subledgers are closed and reconciled now, and you've done all your final journal entries and accruals at the year end, you're ready to close your GL entry. You're ready to close your GL ledger. Super easy. You don't have to do a roll forward. You don't have to do anything like that. It's as easy as going into general ledger and just closing your book. And again, if you're at the top level, you can close it by entity, or you can leave it open and close it for all entities. And that's really it. You've closed your books. Done. Retained earnings automatically rolls forward, which is nice. A couple things you want to do, though, too, is create your fiscal reporting period. Now, a fiscal reporting period is not creating your fiscal period. Your fiscal periods are created. They're there. they're out there into the future. The fiscal reporting periods are what you use when you run your general ledger. If you wanted to go ahead and or do your budget, you need those fiscal reporting periods. And then to do that, you can actually do it manually, or you can actually go into the system and have the system create it for you. So I'm going to show you slides that have the system create it for you. So you want to go to Company, and you go to Company Setup and Import down here. And what that brings you into is the kind of the Company Setup checklist. You want to go ahead and scroll down until you get to the GL Transactions Entry level, and you look for the reporting periods, and then there is this hyperlink default right here. And all you have to do is hit the default, and it says, I'm going to create your reporting periods for you. And it will create 2 years in the future reporting periods for you. And then you accept it, and they're ready there. And then you can load your budgets into there, and you can actually go ahead and use them in your financial statements. So typically, like I said, there's usually 2 years in the future. So if you created them last year, your 2018 numbers are still there too. Your 2018 reporting periods are still there. So, and then this is what they look like, and then you just can review and modify. You can see they're already flagged as budgetable, so you can enter your budget against them. Okay, some things to remember, and that's it. That's your year end. It's that simple with it. Intacct. When I was asked to do this, I was thinking, gosh, I don't even have 15 minutes worth of slides to actually present. The close process is that simple within Intacct. And I get it, there's reconciliations you do and accruals you have to do and all your other year-end work, but at least we don't have to worry about the nuts and bolts and mechanics of complexities within Intacct. So things to remember for year-end close: make a checklist, develop and document your close process. And what that means is it's a routine, and you know the routine of close process. You know somebody has to reconcile this. You know you need to get your 1099 prep work going. You need somebody has to reconcile something else. So just go ahead and do a documentation and a close process. Define tasks and responsibilities to team members. Set due dates and assign responsibilities. If you're interested, there's also Intacct works with a partner Flowcast that has a year-end close process routine, and they assist during the process. It's a really nice process. If you need information with that, feel free to reach out to Mintram, and that's Flowcast. Lock down retained earnings. So what you want to do is you want to make sure there's no adjustments to retained earnings. Only system-created journals should hit retained earnings, and you want to make sure you check that. You can develop some sort of smart, there isn't a lockdown feature, but we can create some sort of smart rule that will flag if somebody made a journal entry or will prohibit journal entries. So reach out to us if you need that. And then at any point in time, as you close the general ledger, let's just say we're closing 2018 and you're in the middle of fiscal year, if you're in the middle of 2019, but you're still closing 2018, you can still do adjustments to it. And one way to do that is you just basically reopen the period, make the adjustment, and then just go in and close it again. No need to, and the other thing about the opening and closing, all of that are permissionable tasks. So you just want to make sure people have the right permissions to what. You don't want your AP person or clerk to be the one that actually is opening and closing your general ledger books. So that's all permissionable within each role. The other thing is also a reminder, no need to touch retained earnings or perform an official close process. It is automatic. You don't have to worry about anything. Big thing is always remember to reconcile your subledgers. And my feel about that is that you're doing that on a monthly basis already. So by year end, it's not a big endeavor. And also just remember, RKL is here to help. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be happy to assist with any year-end process or any issues that you're having. So let's go into 1099 prep, because that's a big task for everybody. So just a reminder, you're able to purchase your 1099 forms. They're available for you. They've changed between 2018 and 2019. I mean, 2017 forms and 2018 forms. You can purchase them through Sage Intacct. And to where you can get them is you can go right directly to this URL, formsforintact.com, or on the home page, you can go to resources, checks, and supplies, and then you can go ahead and purchase your 1099s there. So some information about 1099 prep and processing. Let's talk about the vendor setup. So to flag a vendor as a 1099 vendor, you want to go into accounts payable, setup, vendors, the additional information tab, and you want to tag as the 1099 as eligible. And then what happens there is the 1099 box shows up, and you'll see that here. And this is where you go ahead and you would assign the form that the vendor would receive. In this case, I have form 1099 miscellaneous, and what 1099 box their money should go to. And in this case, it's non-employee compensation. And that's at the vendor setup. And you can do that anytime throughout the year. So a lot of times, let's just say that you're going through the year and you 6 months through the year. Let me rephrase this. This screen right here will allow us to update 1099 values, usually used with conversion go live. So if you go live mid calendar year, or if there's an issue where you're processing a vendor and then you realize 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road, 8 months down the road, that vendor is actually a 1099 vendor, you need to go ahead and retrack those cash, those payments that you made to them the first 6, 7, 8 months that you've already been working with them. So there is a tab there within 1099. When you go, you can go back into that vendor, select the 1099 box, and then you can update the box for the amount of money that you have actually paid that vendor for 2018. So that's something that we do at conversions, and a lot of times we do that with clients when they realize that the vendor is a 1099 vendor after the fact. So just know that's available to you too. It's something that we can import too if there's a lot. So if that's the case and you realize that I have about 500 vendors that are 1099 vendors, and I know what I need to do. I need to update these buckets now. If you give it, we can give you a template for that and help you upload it. Okay, so 1099 printing, very simple. You want to go to accounts payable, reports, and you want to just go to 1096 or 1099 printing. And this allows you to print forms or create the file. So creating the file, that's if the file is like over 250, I think the IRS says if it's over 250 1099s, you must send the file, or you could, or if you use a third party, you can create the file and send it to the third party to process the 1099. Okay, and let's see here. So the other thing too is during the selection of the 1099s, you want to go to, if you need to exclude credit card transactions, that is one of the prompts down below. In some cases, you can exclude the credit card transactions, because I think there's, the IRS says anything through credit card transactions are not 1099able transactions, so you can go ahead and exclude that from the population. So the other thing is the file. If you needed to create the file, it's the same prompt. You would just go ahead and create the file, and you can get the file format in CSV, Excel, XML, XSD, and that file then you can transmit to a third party, and they will then process it for you, or you can use there is a third party that Intacct works with. It's called 1099.com. tax1099.com, but I do know that I've worked with clients that use Atrix because they use Atrix for their W-2s as well, and Atrix can use the CSV. It has to be slightly manipulated, but it's something that can happen. And then usually that is for clients that have more than 250 1099 forms. file has to be created. So frequently asked questions about 1099 processing. Just an idea, just a couple of them. What if we have a third-party print and mail 1099 forms? Can we print and mail 1099 forms? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't even read what you're saying here. What if we have a third-party print and mail or 1099 forms? That's where you go ahead and you create your 1099 file and provide it to the third party. If we have over 250, what if we have 250 or more 1099s? So if you have more than 250 1099s, you are required to electronically send them, and then you can go to the marketplace, and we have some marketplace solutions. Like I mentioned to you, we have the tax1099.com is one of the marketplace solutions that we use. The other one, like I said, we can create a file, export that file, and I have had other clients been able to use it with Atrix, which is also another 1099 provider, electronic provider. What forms does Sage Intacct support? Sage Intacct supports all the tax forms: 1099, 1096, 1099 miscellaneous, 1099 dividend, you name it, they support it. How do I update or change 1099 amount for a vendor? So this can be manually done. You go into accounts payable, and that's what I mentioned in one of the slides back there. You go to accounts payable, you edit the appropriate vendor, you go to the additional tab, you click on the 1099 form link, you select the correct year, and you go to the appropriate box, and you can plus or minus 1099 information, because some payments to vendors may not be 1099able, and you can go ahead and minus that out. If at the end of the year you're doing your analysis and you realize that $4,000 should not have been 1099able to this vendor, but all the other amounts should have, you can go to this box here and go minus $4,000, and that would subtract the 1099 amount. It does not impact his vendor balances or anything like that. It's just a separate bucket called 1099. And then here's just some year-end resources for your help. So RKL, we're here to help. Reach out to us, any of your Intacct consultants that you've worked with, Scott or Karen or myself. Reach out to us. We'd be happy to help. Mintram too, if you want to get some information about tax99.com or Flowcast. And then you can also go online. We all know how Intacct is online. They have a great embedded help documentation system. You can reach out to the community, and here's the community link. And of course, the support our RKL solutions, that's the RKL support link. And really, that's it. And thank you, and happy holidays.